Get ready for The Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's dedicated update show. Events, businesses, and people. Anything and anyone causing a ripple in the community. And now, let's dive in to The Splash Live.
Hello and welcome to our special edition of The Splash Live and the MegaCast. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft, live from my home in western Oakland County. Thank you for joining us as you do each and every day for our 90 minutes of news coverage on Civic Center TV and across our network of community television stations all across the state of Michigan and here throughout Oakland County. Of course, you'll always find The Splash live at 9:30 a.m. on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99, same location for the MegaCast. And find us online, civiccentertv.com. That's where you'll find us live in high definition for each and every one of our live programs, and be able to find us on demand as well as other footage and other coverage from Civic Center TV all throughout the community, whether it is tomorrow's Michigan Week Community Awards, the West Bloomfield Youth Assistance Youth Recognition Awards from last night that we'll talk a little bit about in a bit here, or other programming such as meetings. We had a Sylvan Lake City Council meeting last night. A lot went on there. A budget hearing for the city of Sylvan Lake. That will be on our website later on today. And of course, you can always find our live programs, our 90 minutes of news, always on our website, on demand and live, civiccentertv.com. Another place you can find us on the web each and every day live is on Facebook, facebook.com/civiccentertv15. Civic Center TV 15 is our handle on Facebook, where you'll find us live, and follow along. Give us your comments. Let us know what you think about some of the stories that are going on here in the Greater West Bloomfield area and throughout Oakland County, and get involved in the show yourself. We may read those on the air as we go along throughout the program. So come join along with us on Facebook every day, facebook.com/civiccentertv15, Monday through Friday, for our live shows and our special programs as well. You can also find us for those on YouTube, youtube.com, our handle there, Civic Center TV. I would suggest going into the search bar at the top of your page on YouTube and just searching Greater West Bloomfield Civic Center TV, and that's where you'll find all of our programming archived, and find us live as well, the Splash Live and the MegaCast, both live on YouTube Monday through Friday, beginning at 9:30, ending at 11 o'clock. And then, hey, if you missed the full 90 minutes of news, or you're missing part of that and you want to go back and watch it immediately before we, pretty everything up and put titles and descriptions and all that stuff on to make it look nice for the web and SEO and all that stuff, for a little inside Splash and MegaCast information. Before we do all that, you can find us on demand right there, right away after our show. So, hey, maybe you can't tune in until 11:01 a.m. each and every day, and you can't be with us for the full 90 minutes live, but you'll be with us immediately after we're live and be able to watch us on demand via YouTube live. So that's, again, Civic Center TV on our YouTube page. You can also find us on the radio on 89.3 Lakes FM and online on lakesfm.com in the Greater West Bloomfield area and the Lakes communities all throughout southeastern Michigan here in Oakland County. 89.3 FM on your dial, and of course online, lakesfm.com. Greater West Bloomfield's very own radio station is our radio flagship for the Splash Live and the MegaCast. Taking a look at our forecast for today, the warmest day of the work week is today. 81 degrees, the forecasted daytime high, with sunshine all throughout this beautiful Thursday. Winds, slight winds southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour, with sunset tonight at 8:44 p.m. just in time to get home from maybe a light walk before you call it a night on this Thursday and get ready to finish off your work week on Friday. Nighttime temperatures tonight in the mid-50s, now forecast to top out around 55 degrees in the Greater West Bloomfield area, with partly cloudy skies, but no precipitation at this time for tonight. Friday, similar temperatures, topping out now at 79 degrees, but not as much sunshine in our community. The good news is, over the last few days, we've had increasing chances of rain be forecast, with a couple days ago it was at 41% chance of rain during the day. Yesterday it was at 48% chance of rain for Friday. Now, the rain in the forecast for the end of the week has a 31% chance of rain during the day. That's down 17% from where it was 24 hours ago. So 17% fewer of the people in our coverage area may see rain tomorrow during the day. Same deal at night, as less of our area is likely to see rain. The chance of rain now is at 36%. With a low of 57 degrees and winds east-northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour on Friday night. Over the weekend, 78 and partly cloudy on Saturday with a 12% chance of rain during the day. Sunset expected a little bit later than on Friday at 8:46 p.m. And a nighttime forecast is showing 49 degrees across your Saturday. A bit windy with northeast winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So kind of warm, pretty warm, 78 degrees, partly cloudy, so maybe not too much necessarily of that hot sun, but you'll get a little bit of wind too, so perhaps maybe it's going to feel a little bit more like it's in the early 70s or the high 60s. At night on Saturday, a bit windy, northeast winds at 10 to 15 miles per hour and a low of 49 for Saturday. Similar forecast on Sunday, but a bit cooler. 64 degrees is your daytime high, just as windy as Saturday, so perhaps it may even feel a little bit cooler. It may feel like it's in it may feel a little bit cooler than that 64-degree forecast. It may feel like it's in the high 50s, maybe in the mid to high 50s on Sunday afternoon. So, maybe bring along a light coat with you or a sweater if you're out and about on Sunday afternoon. Sunday night, low of 43 on Mother's Day with a chance of rain sitting at 21%. Now let's take a look at some things going on around town. Last night at the West Bloomfield Middle School, West Bloomfield Youth Assistance recognized a number of young volunteers in our community. This was all part of their annual Youth Recognition Awards that was held at the middle school this year. Here you'll see some footage from last night's event from our team at Civic Center TV, who was on site for the full ceremony. We've got that recorded, and you will see that available soon. Actually, you're seeing on screen a couple of football players. Blake Nelson, who just went out of the frame on the right, one of the football players that was honored last night at the Youth Recognition Awards. In addition, Jalen Jackson, another player very familiar to Laker football fans, honored by West Bloomfield Youth Assistance. Again, CivicCenterTV.com will be the place for you to look for that full ceremony. We'll also have it broadcasting on Civic Center TV very soon. We'll be working on that today and tomorrow to get that into our programming as soon as possible. Other fun happening around Oakland County. The Oakland County Farmers Market is back. This is the last date of the regular work week for the farmers market this week, but it's back again also on Saturday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday from 7 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. all throughout the summer at the Oakland County Farmers Market, just off of Pontiac Lake Road in Waterford Township. More information can be found on oakgov.com. And if you happen to be following Oakland County Parks on their Facebook page, they did a great video about it being an opportunity to go to the farmers market, whether it's today or it's Saturday, doing a little bit of that late Mother's Day shopping. We may have a video clip of that available, but if not, it is on the Oakland Parks Facebook page. You can see them going through some of the different great ideas they have. Here you go. Spend Mother's Day at the market with Oakland County Parks. There's plenty of flowers, as you see back there, to shop from and get a nice bouquet for your mom on Sunday. OaklandCountyParks.com, the place to go for more information on that. And thanks to Calvin Backer, Master Control, for throwing that video up there. Another opportunity tonight, you can learn to be a storm spotter and help forecast tornadoes and other severe weather right here in our local area with the National Weather Service and Oakland County Emergency Management. 7 p.m. tonight at Waterford Oaks Activity Center. That's off of Watkins Lake Road in Waterford. Learn to be a Skywarn storm spotter for free. And according to Oakland County Emergency Management's website, quote, Skywarn is an effort to save lives during severe weather emergencies by expanding networks of spotters and by encouraging the widest possible participation in tornado warning programs. They say only one instrument can detect a tornado or a funnel cloud with 100% certainty, and that is the human eye. They can use their forecasting materials, they can use some of the other technologies, but a lot of those don't necessarily detect actual tornadoes or funnel clouds. Oftentimes, those are seen by somebody on the ground, whether it's a spotter or somebody else reporting that to emergency authorities. You can learn what to look for and how to report those by becoming a Skywarn storm spotter through Oakland County Emergency Management and the National Weather Service. More information on oakgov.com/community. Just navigate over to their emergency management page. And you can also do the training online. If you're not able to attend, again, it's in person, 7 o'clock at the Waterford Oaks Activity Center off of Watkins Lake Road in Waterford for that training tonight. Over the weekend, West Bloomfield Parks will be holding its garage sale. That's going to happen this week, Saturday, May 13th at the Recreation Activity Center from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. Unfortunately, if you're looking to sell some of those goods that maybe you have pulled out of your home as you've been doing some spring cleaning, that window, of course, has closed. It closes pretty quickly when they open it up for people to join the sale as sellers. But you can go there and buy some goodies from your neighbors all throughout the communities that maybe will help decorate your home, or something you may need for your yard or inside your home, or something you just really that just catches your eye and is of your interest. Do a little thrifting at the Recreation Activity Center in West Bloomfield, Saturday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's at the Town Hall Complex in West Bloomfield. You drive right in. It's the first parking lot on your left. That'll be for West Bloomfield Parks, right next door to the West Bloomfield Library. wbparks.org/events for more information on that. A quick sip and we move on to the pre-orders for the West Bloomfield Parks native plant sale, which will have pickup on May 20th. But you have to pre-order all these plants before you pick them up at Marshbank Park from 9 a.m. to noon on May 20th. So that window opens this week, Sunday, May 14th, and runs through May 18th. 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. is the window. You'll go through wbparks.org/events. Navigate to their native plant sale on May 20th on that events page, and you'll find all the information you need about how to purchase some of these plants, how to pre-order those plants, where you'll be picking them up, what that time window is, and all the ways you can get involved. We actually had Lauren Azuri from West Bloomfield Parks, their Parks Naturalist Supervisor, on the program yesterday. Talked to her about this extensively. That is available on demand on civiccentertv.com. Learn more about the native plant sale. And hey, a secret from Lauren that she told us yesterday on the show: some of these plants go really quickly. So if there are certain plants that you really want to get, certain native plants you really want to get for your yard, for your garden, to decorate your home, you're going to want to get on that page early on Sunday. Again, it opens up at 7 a.m. on Sunday online and runs through Thursday, May 18th. The purchase window each day, 7 a.m. until 5 p.m. wbparks.org/events. And scroll down to the native plant sale page on May 20th for more information. Something to mark your calendars for coming up in August 13th. That's a Sunday, 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at West Bloomfield High School. Their robotics program is going to be holding a fundraiser and a really fun event, a car show at West Bloomfield High School, featuring hot rods, exotic cars, and other classic favorites from all around the Motor City and around the world. Coming to West Bloomfield High School, $15 if you pre-register now, and $20 on the day of the event. More information can be found on wbsd.org, or go to the West Bloomfield School District Facebook page, and they'll have an event up there in their news feed. It's also the last day to register to be part of the Keagle Harbor Memorial Day Parade. That window to volunteer or get a float into the parade ends on May 13th. That is Saturday. So KeagleHarbor.org is the place you're going to want to go for more of that information. And then tomorrow, the big show of the month of May is Michigan Week. The Michigan Week Community Awards Breakfast, honoring our local volunteers, will be live right here on Civic Center TV beginning at 7 a.m. on Friday morning, live from Temple, Israel. It's the 51st annual Michigan Week Community Awards Breakfast. It used to be that Michigan Week was a tradition across the entire state of Michigan, recognizing the greatness of our state, the volunteers in our communities. And most communities in Michigan now don't do that anymore. Greater West Bloomfield is one of the few communities that still participates in Michigan Week each and every year. It is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, community tradition. You can recognize local volunteers, young, old, and all across different sectors of our community. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. live, civiccentertv.com, on our Facebook page at Civic Center TV 15, on our YouTube page as well. It's the Michigan Week Community Awards Breakfast. MichiganWeek.org is the place to go for more information. Plenty more going on all across our community. You can always find out more about what's coming up and what is going on now by joining us on the Splash Live Monday through Friday from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. We'll take a break. On the other side, plenty going on all across the state of Michigan and around the country on the business and economics side. Dr. Michael Greiner from Oakland University joins us next. Stay tuned. You're watching to the Splash Live and the MegaCast.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important.
And now the same is true in the face of flu.
Influenza has the power to infect millions.
But it's easy to protect yourself, your family, and your community.
The flu vaccine is safe and effective. And with COVID-19 still around,
It's essential. Together we can face flu season head on.
Visit michigan.gov/flu.
Looking for a midweek meal? Keep the bag lunch at home this summer and enjoy street food in your neighborhood with Food Truck Tuesdays. Enjoy cuisine from around Michigan outside the WB Parks and Recreation's Activity Center with a different vendor every Tuesday, like the Great Greek on May 16th. All summer, every Tuesday, Food Truck Tuesday. This community update from Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
And now, back to The Splash, live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live and the MegaCast. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft. As always, you can find us online, civiccentertv.com. Just go to our on-demand page to find all of our 90 minutes of news coverage each and every day, Monday through Friday, live to tape, on demand, civiccentertv.com. If you go to our MegaCast page at civiccentertv.com/MegaCast, you'll find more information on other community stations all throughout Oakland County with original programming from your hometown as well. civiccentertv.com/MegaCast. Joining us as he does each and every week, albeit a day earlier than usual due to other programming from Oakland University, is Dr. Michael Greiner, an assistant professor of management in Oakland University's School of Business Administration, to talk to us about the latest in business and economics here in Michigan and throughout the U.S. Dr. Greiner, thanks for being with us.
It's great to be here, Tyler. It's great to see you back. We missed you last week.
Yeah, glad to be back. A little bit of an incident the last time after the last time we spoke that of course I talked about earlier on in the week. So this time we're going to reverse the curse today and get through this and the rest of the show after that as well.
I was afraid that the economics
by seeing if we can reverse the curse. So let's start off talking about reversing the curse. Let's begin with reversing the curse on inflation. There's new data that's coming about inflation again. Another update, but it seems this continues to be ebbing and flowing back and forth between rising inflation and falling inflation. So what's the current forecast?
Yeah, we got some good news the other day, and it's basically that the top line figures continue to decline a little bit each month. This is now the 10th straight month that we've seen declines in inflation, coming down from the height of about 9.1%, and now we're down below 5%. So that's positive. But what's more is, as you dig a little bit deeper into the figures, there's even more good news, because one of the big drivers of inflation for the past period, and certainly in this period as well, has been rent. And it's been something where the landlords have been really able to drive up the rents, especially after COVID, and that's been one of the big drivers of inflation. And it kind of flows over into other things too, because part of the way they calculate the inflation rate is by looking at people who own their homes and calculating owner's equivalent rent. So it's not like because you're paying your mortgage or you own your home free and clear that the rent figures don't impact you when you're looking at inflation. They actually do when they're calculating that. So as a result of that, this figure has been something that's been holding inflation high for quite some time. Well, part of the problem is that people tend to sign their leases for a year at a time. And so you don't see the changes in rent as they slow down start to impact for quite some time. So we think that actually, based upon other figures that we've seen, that we're going to start to see the rent figures start to come down in the next couple of months. So that should actually provide some real relief for the inflation figures. But more to the point here, here in terms of what people actually experience on a day-to-day basis, one of the biggest pieces of news is that groceries have gone down, including in particular eggs, which we know for a little while there they were elevated for various reasons. There was bird flu, et cetera. But that number seems to be coming down. So our hope is that this is going to be a continuing process. We're going to start to see better and better figures as we're going forward. And that's really a relief, I think, for everybody, including the Federal Reserve, who've been hoping to see some slowdown in inflation.
Yeah, earlier this week, some good news on the Oakland County side. This was all kind of looped into one big thing as Oakland County detailed at Oakland University, their economic outlook for the future, and really focused on education. But on top of that, other forecasts from economist Gabriel Ehrlich from the University of Michigan's research seminar in quantitative economics also predicted that Oakland County's jobs numbers are going to recover to pre-pandemic by 2025. They're already over 80% of the way there. So give us a little bit of an overview of what was discussed on Monday at that event and ultimately why it's such good news for Oakland County.
Yeah, nationally, I think that the two of us are in agreement that when you look at the country overall, we could be experiencing a mild recession next year, very mild, but nothing really to worry terribly about. But just as we slow down things, as we bring inflation under control and really all that money that was sent out as a result of the pandemic really gets spent off. But, in Michigan, we seem actually to be pretty well positioned right now. And that has a lot to do with the fact that the auto industry is doing well. One of the big drivers of inflation, again, kind of referring back to what we were talking about before, is used cars. That figure is still highly elevated. And you don't see the same figure with new cars. And the reason is because of the fact that there has been kind of this shortage of new cars. And so there's still a lot of demand out there for the new vehicles that are being manufactured here. And that always flows through in the economy. There's this old joke that when the nation gets a cold, we get pneumonia. Well, I think we might actually be facing the opposite here, where because of the fact that there is this pent-up demand for new cars right now, that we're going to see some strong performance going forward, despite the fact that nationally we might be experiencing a little bit of a slowdown. So that's good news. And really one of the things that, as you point out, that was kind of highlighted about Oakland County in particular is the fact that we've really emphasized education here. I mean, Michigan, as it is, as we know, is a great education state. I mean, I talk about it all over the place. Everybody thinks of the University of Michigan when they talk about Michigan or even Michigan State. But we have so many great schools here, including Oakland University and Wayne State, obviously. Beyond the difference that is made in people's lives as a result of a college education can't be overstated. Now, people like to criticize higher education a little bit right now, but the figures are clear. If you graduate from high school and don't get secondary education, you're going to be stuck in the $20,000 a year or so range in terms of your income. Whereas if you get a secondary education, especially a 4-year secondary degree, you're looking at $40,000 to $65,000 a year in income. And that is something that is seen across the board. And as they pointed out in this presentation, you don't even need to be looking at the most expensive education to get these kinds of benefits. I mean, we've got one of the things that's the understated story here is we've got great community colleges here. Both Macomb Community College and Oakland Community College are fantastic and nationally recognized for the programs that they have. And the education that you're able to get in both these places can be a big leg up toward getting that kind of income benefit that you get as a result of education. So they seem to believe that that's a real strength of the county. It appears that there are efforts in the county to try to make sure that this educational benefit is being felt widely, including in certain parts of the county where they have less of a tradition of people going on to secondary education, like say in Pontiac, for example. But assuming that we're able to keep this trend going, it just makes Oakland County an even more attractive place for businesses to locate because there is such high demand for the kind of skilled labor that we're able to provide here. And that really is going to be a strength of our county going forward.
Yeah, not to mention the emphasis that's been put statewide on providing that education by making it more affordable for people to attain, whether it is that they're going to a 2-year community college and getting an associate's degree, or then going on to a 4-year degree or beyond that, or simply going into a skilled trade, which we know has been a sticking point in our economy across the board, getting people into those skilled trade positions. Michigan really is emphasizing that, and so is Oakland County, so that's certainly playing a factor in all of this. We're joined by Dr. Michael Greiner from Oakland University on today's edition of the Splash Live and the MegaCast. Lastly, a really interesting story about our retirees, those that are on the other side of their career. Typically, you think of them, they end their careers, they leave Michigan, they go somewhere like Florida or Arizona or Texas, but some recent numbers coming in, a recent metric coming in, had calculated that the banking and credit site Bank Locations said amongst all 50 states, Michigan is the second best place to go for retirees, just behind those that are yeehawing off to Texas. So what really has been that difference maker for Michigan for these retirees versus some of these other more typical places like Florida or Arizona or Texas that we typically see our retirees leave us to go to?
Yeah, this is one of those stories where I think familiarity breeds contempt, because we in Michigan kind of, I think, have a little bit of a inferiority complex, and we really need to realize what a great state we're in so many ways. What's great about this study is it uses objective criteria, different data points that they're able to look at to determine what states do particularly well, and this is where Michigan really rose to the top. For example, the 3 big areas that they look at, for example, are healthcare access, are quality of life, and cost of living. And all 3 of these areas, Michigan did very well. We know about the great healthcare access that we've got here. I mean, the hospitals, the fact that so many people in Michigan relative to some other states have health insurance and good health insurance. I have a mother who my mother lives in Virginia. And I got to tell you, over there, people don't realize how far she has to go to get access to healthcare. And that's not the case at all here in Michigan, and especially in southeastern Michigan, where we have just so many great hospitals and so many great doctors. So that's one advantage. The second big issue is cost of living. I've lived in other parts of the country, and we don't realize here in Michigan how much better we have it compared to other parts of the country because of the fact that the cost of living here is so reasonable. I've lived, for example, in Boston or Washington or in Colorado, and in each of those places, things like real estate are incredibly expensive, and it's very rare, for example, for younger people to own their own homes. In fact, when I first moved here to Michigan, I was shocked about the fact that so many young people my own age owned their own homes and had nice places to boot, and that's really something that is unique to Michigan, and really something that we need to tout. And in fact, I can tell you that when we talk with potential faculty members for Oakland University, and we recruit worldwide for faculty members to come here, one of the things that we point out to them is that the pay that you're going to receive here at Oakland University is going to go a lot farther in Michigan than it would, say, if you were to get a job just about anywhere else, like, say, in Chicago or New York or anywhere else. And as a result of that, the income that people have here in Michigan ends up going a lot further. And finally, because of the fact that so many people here have good pensions or good 401ks and retirement savings, we have a lot of services that are oriented toward retirees, something that you don't see in a lot of parts of the country. We also, overall, tend to have a very low crime rate, which is something else that, again, people don't realize relative to other states. And all these things kind of play together to make Michigan, despite the fact that we have to deal with the cold weather, yes, it is true. Other than that, we've just got a lot of advantages that really make this a very attractive place for retirees to locate to.
The Bank Locations site that put these rankings together. Texas #1, Michigan #2, Florida was at #3, #4 it's peach picking time in Georgia, #5 it's apple picking time in Tennessee. Michael, thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be here. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, looking forward to seeing you as well. Michael Greiner from Oakland University. More information on programs through Oakland University's School of Business Administration can be found on oakland.edu. We'll take a break here on the MegaCast. On the other side, it's National Children's Mental Health Acceptance Week. We'll talk about that with Carrie Krawiec from the Birmingham Maple Clinic on the other side of the break. Stay tuned. You're watching and listening to the Splash Live and the MegaCast.
What's happening around you? Hear about state events, businesses, and from the people behind them on the MegaCast, an hour-long TV, radio, and streaming show keeping you informed on the day-to-day news. Listen in on talks with volunteer groups, documentarians, and financial advisors, Monday to Friday with your host, Tyler Kieft. Catch the MegaCast weekdays from 10 a.m. to 11 on Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM, and streaming on mymytv.com. You're watching and listening to your home for Greater West Bloomfield News, Civic Center TV and 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, West Bloomfield, Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, 89.3 Lakes FM. It's the MegaCast, an hour-long TV and radio streaming show keeping you informed on the day-to-day news. Live from West Bloomfield, we're bringing you the news, updates, and information impacting communities around Michigan. Join our host, Tyler Kieft, as he talks with community members, business leaders, and professional experts about the stories that impact you. You're watching the MegaCast on Civic Center TV. The West Bloomfield Youth Assistance will be recognizing local youth for their volunteer service, personal growth, and leadership. Join us as schools, hospitals, and religious organizations nominate the up-and-comers in your community. Show your pride for our future. The Youth Recognition Awards, May 10th at 6 p.m. at the West Bloomfield Middle School. This community update from Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Welcome back to the MegaCast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show, talking about all things Oakland County and the state of Michigan. I'm your host, Tyler Kieft. As always, you can keep up to date with us on civiccentertv.com/megacast. You'll find our full episodes and each individual segment on demand as well. civiccentertv.com/megacast. You can also find other local programming from across Greater West Bloomfield and throughout Oakland County from our team at Civic Center TV, our flagship on the MegaCast on civiccentertv.com. Also on civiccentertv.com, you go to the top of the page and click on our local news page. We'll have our top stories making headlines each and every day during the work week when we do our live 90 minutes of news coverage. Our top story making news today on our local news page comes from Dave Burkett at the Detroit Free Press. The Lions' 2023 schedule was released this week, and their wait to kick off the season once the NFL regular season begins in the fall will not be a long wait, in fact, at all. The Putty Cats will kick off their season in Kansas City at Arrowhead Stadium against the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs on Thursday Night Football on September 7th. The Chiefs are coming off of a Super Bowl victory against the Philadelphia Eagles last season and are following up their second career MVP season for star Patrick Mahomes. So that is a big story for the Lions. Going to be one of the teams highlighted on opening weekend for the NFL, playing Thursday Night Football against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are just coming off of a win in the Super Bowl over the Philadelphia Eagles. What was an exciting Super Bowl that saw, once again, one of the big stars of the NFL, Patrick Mahomes, just at the age of 27 years old, winning another Super Bowl and also coming off of an MVP season, his second career MVP season last year as well. So a really interesting matchup for the Lions to kick off the 2023 season, as there's high expectations for the Lions, some even going as far as to say that they are contenders for the NFC Championship and could perhaps be seen in this year's Super Bowl. That may be a bit of a stretch, but a good litmus test for that. How did the Lions go up against the defending champions in Week 1 on Thursday Night Football? We'll find that out on September 7th. Exciting news out of Allen Park this week as the Lions will kick off their season against the defending champions. Finally, making news today here in Oakland County from Matthew Farr at the Oakland Press. MDOT officials announced this week they have nixed plans to remove the ramp from the business loop of I-75 at Square Lake in Bloomfield Township. This comes after calls from residents, township officials, and others exclaiming strong opposition to the plans to remove that ramp. Now, MDOT claims that the plan was necessary in order to improve safety on and as you get off of I-75, claiming that the design of that ramp as it currently is, kind of being more of a quote-unquote weaving ramp, is problematic for drivers, as often it leads to fast speeds while changing lanes in order to quickly align yourself, either if you're going into the Pontiac area there, or if you're continuing on into Bloomfield Township off of Square Lake Road. Per MDOT spokesperson Rob Morosi, the plans are out for now, but future plans may arise to move the ramp to another location or redesign it altogether, as opposed to removing the quote-unquote weaving ramp altogether. For reference, from 2015 to 2019, just 28 crashes had occurred on that ramp, with only 3 directly related to the weaving portion of that off-ramp on the business loop of 75. Although MDOT contractors who researched these hazards and these accidents said that the ramp say that low numbers are not indicative of the potential for more crashes in the future or severe crashes in the future, and still emphasize that something needs to be done with that ramp. But for the time being, you won't have to worry about losing the off-ramp from I-75 at Square Lake Road in Bloomfield Township. That full article from the Oakland Press, as well as all of our top stories, on our local news page on civiccentertv.com. Joining us now on the program, as she does each and every week, to talk about the latest in mental health topics all throughout our community and affecting us across the board, is Carrie Krawiec, a therapist at the Birmingham Maple Clinic. Carrie, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on. It's a really important topic as we're wrapping up the school year. And things are back to normal in the classroom from where they were pre-pandemic, but that doesn't necessarily mean that our kids are back to quote-unquote normal following the pandemic. This is National Children's Mental Health Acceptance Week, May 7th through the 13th, focusing on the importance of raising awareness for children's mental health, as well as treatment and a need for services and acceptance to reduce the stigma on these kids. So let's just begin with how the last few years, the COVID-19 pandemic in particular, has taken a toll on kids. Just how much have we seen an increase in reports of mental health struggles for kids as a result of the pandemic?
Sure. Parents and teachers and professionals are all seeing increase in certain disorders or diagnoses. It's yet to be determined if that is a result of just the circumstances, or if there are some other causes or some reasons why we're seeing it more. Of course, there was the time when kids were out of school more and perhaps homeschooling or with their parents more. So behaviors that may have not been visible to parents were all of a sudden more visible. And then upon going back to school, just the circumstances of having sort of a lower stamina for the school day, not being able to sit still as long, or having even some anxiety perhaps about infection or masking or whatever it may be. There are a lot of things we're seeing connected to the pandemic.
And that, of course, is going to have a massive impact on the kids now that they're back in the classroom, and already we have seen that have quite an impact on them reacclimating to social situations, to interacting, certainly the younger kids, in different classrooms each year with different teachers each year, and still recovering from what they experienced during the COVID-19 pandemic. So in terms of these mental health issues that are arising, you touched on a few of them. What typically do we see from kids in terms of their struggles with mental health? Is it very similar to adults in terms of how wide-ranging it is?
Sure. And of course, it changes at different ages and stages, what you see or what's a little more common, of course, and what's diagnosed. And there can even be, without careful consideration, misdiagnosis. Younger children may not necessarily look emotional in the way of, say, for example, crying. Maybe it'll look like irritability or acting out behaviors. So sometimes depression and anxiety can get called ADHD because it looks like a child that's restless or distracted, when really they might be dealing with something emotional. And so, a really proper diagnosis from a psychologist can help tease out if it's one or the other or both. Of course, the statistics are something like by the age 14, 50% of children will have met the criteria, at least for a mental diagnosis at one point in their lives. And something like 20% of kids do have a mental health diagnosis. So that is in the same range of what we see in adults or nearby there. ADHD being one of the most common, anxiety disorders being, perhaps one nearby the top for children at younger ages.
And so for parents, if they're noticing some of these changes, if they're being told of some of these changes by educators, by other people that are involved in their child's life and in their child's development, or even this is being discussed with them directly from their child, what should be those first steps that they take?
Sure. I mean, parents should know their children the best. And so that being said, parents would know, if there's something contextual happening, a move, a parental divorce, a change in the family's financial situation, or someone in the family is sick or doing poorly, parents would know, okay, maybe there's something in the context answering. Why are we seeing a change in thoughts, feelings, or behavior? And then you watch it, right? If something happens and then there's an adjustment period, after a few weeks or months, if things haven't sort of restored, then that is a sign of sort of mental unwellness, right? Because we're talking about mental health awareness. Mental health isn't the absence of feelings, but it's part of restoring back to normalcy. So we should experience sadness, anger, anxiety, uncertainty, distraction, all of these things. But how quickly can we restore normalcy is really the evidence of our mental health fitness. And so if someone isn't seem to be restoring normalcy, isn't seem to be coping well with whatever the changes in their life may be, then that perhaps is a sign that something needs to be investigated further. Like I said, changes in behavior, changes in sleep patterns, changes in eating, irritability, expressions of frustration, outbursts that seem to be too intense and don't make sense for the situation. Those would be things in younger children. Of course, difficulty separating from parents, nightmares during the night, a lot of wakefulness and hard to be soothed would also be a sign that parents would, of course, recognize that something's going on here. Seeing a psychologist or a therapist and getting a proper diagnosis, even talking first with your doctor, would be a helpful step to get a referral to the right direction.
And lastly, with about a minute left, Carrie, it's obviously important to get out in front of any of these mental health struggles you may be having at any age as soon as possible. For kids, I would imagine it's even that much more important because this is happening too during their development. So just how critical is it to get out ahead of these things as early as possible?
Well, absolutely. It affects self-esteem. It affects learning. It affects, so you're right. To address something early and sort of stay on top of it helps to reduce those effects, right, of the ways in which it might interfere with the grade school learning or the way it might interfere with friendship formation and things that are, of course, going to have effects longer term. So that would be certainly great advice, is to pay attention early and often and address things as necessary.
If you need to get in contact with a professional, you can get in contact with the professionals at the Birmingham Maple Clinic by visiting birminghammaple.com. Carrie, thank you so much for joining us today.
All right. Thank you for having me.
birminghammaple.com is their website for more information and to get in contact with Carrie and the other professionals across the board at the Birmingham Maple Clinic to help you or even your kids if they're struggling with their mental health at this time or in the future. That is going to do it for this week's editions of the MegaCast and the Splash Live. Of course, tomorrow, programming note, we won't be live for our shows tomorrow because we'll be at the Michigan Week Community Awards Breakfast, recognizing our volunteers in the Greater West Bloomfield Community. That will also be replayed throughout the morning, the afternoon, the evening, and over the weekend as well. Live, 7 a.m. from Temple Israel in West Bloomfield Township on Civic Center TV, on our website on civiccentertv.com, as well as our Facebook page and our YouTube page. civiccentertv.com, that's the place to go to look for that, and that will be on Friday. Until next week, for our entire crew, I'm Tyler Kieft. Take care of each other, and we'll see you very soon.